Hey guys, what's up? It's Dreadscape Gaming, and today on the channel we are going to be taking a look at the Spirit of Arachyr build yet again, because ironically in Diablo Season 29, they actually buffed the Angry Chicken particular weapons, as well as gave Cluck Eye a new ability for Angry Chicken. So we're going to take a deep dive into the Spirit of Arachyr set. It went from D tier to S tier. Anyway, we're going to be using a full set of the Spirit of Arachyr armor. Now, keep in mind that this is one of those armors that was very, very D tier, and it's kind of gone up quite a bit, so we're going to be using a full set. We're not really going to be using the two-piece bonus, but I will go over things. Summoning a permanent Spider Queen connected to you by an infested thread. Enemies caught in the thread are infested corpse spider. Attacks against infested enemies inflict the same damage to all infested enemies. The Spider Queen is commanded to move to wherever you target with a corpse spider, but we're not using a four-piece bonus. The Spider Queen now leaves behind webs that last 15 seconds and slow enemies. Infested enemies remain infested while on the web, and you take 75% damage reduction for 4 seconds with web. Six-piece bonus, which is what we're using this for. The damage of the creature skills is increased by 25,000%. Particularly, the only skill here that is going to get the buff from this is Hex and Piranhas. So, again, mostly a full set. Here we're going to be using the Manjuma's Gory Fetch and Carving Knife. This is the two-piece bonus. Your Hex Angry Chicken explosion damage is increased by 2,000%. And slain enemies trigger an additional explosion. Second piece of this bonus, your Hex Angry Chicken lasts 15 seconds. And movement speed is increased by an additional 100% while gaining 75% damage reduction. These bonuses last while you are a chicken and for 5 seconds after. Also, while you're an angry chicken, you spawn a chicken every half second that seeks enemies and deals 100% extra damage. So, also we're going to be using Buckler of Jungle's Wraps just as a placeholder here, so don't pay any mind to the belt. You really don't need it for this build. We're also going to be using the Ring of Emptiness. You and your non-fetish pets deal 290% increased damage to enemies affected by either your haunt. For Locust Storm, we're using Locust Storm. We're going to be using the Compass Rose and Traveler's Pledge in conjunction with each other. Two-piece bonus, while moving, damage take is reduced by up to 50%, while standing still, damage dealt is increased by up to 100%. Alright, we're going to be using Lakumpa's Ornament, that way to power up our Soul Harvest, so reduce all damage taken by 6% for each stack of Soul Harvest you have. Then from there, for the skills, we're going to use Piranhas, Perhorando, Spirit Barrage, Phantasm. We're going to be using Spirit Walk, Jaunt. Moving on, we're going to be using Soul Harvest, Languish. Moving on from there, Hex Angry Chicken, which is our main and primary source of all damage for this build. We're also going to be using Locust Swarm, Pestilence. In the Kanai's Cube, we're going to be using Pierce the Veil, which says all your damage is increased by 20%. We're also going to be using Fetish Scaraphants there. So keep in mind this is just for kind of like shits and giggles. It doesn't have that much practicality, but it's better than some of the other passives that you can be using for this particular build. We're also going to be using Creeping Death for the power-up of our Locust Storm and Piranhas, even though we don't reuse them too much. And last but not least, Confidence Ritual. You deal 25% additional damage to enemies within 20 yards. In the Kanai's Cube, they just buffed Cluck Eye, gave it an actual ability, so casting Hex Angry Chicken turns all your pets into exploding chickens. Chickens deal 200% increased damage, and Angry Chicken deals 50% more damage for exploded chickens. You also want for the breastplate Aquila Karas, while above 90% primary resource, all damage take is reduced by 50%. And last slot should be Convention of Elements, gain 200% increased damage for a single element for 4 seconds. This non-static effect rotates through the elements available to your class in the following order: Arcane, Cold, Fire, Holy, Lightning, Physical, Poison. Alright, for the Paragon, this is what my Paragon looks like, but I'm playing this on my non-seasonal character. If you're playing seasonal character, you unlock to 800 Paragon as your cap level, as well as some of these will be at 200 for the max. Really, you want to focus in particular for area damage with this particular build, as well as resource cost reduction, are things I could recommend for you going through seasonal. Critical hit damage is important, cooldown reduction, attack speed. You know, you're going to have to play around with it because 800 Paragon doesn't give you as much leeway as opposed to non-seasonal. For the follower, we're going to be using Broken Crown for the Emanate ability, Flavor of Time, Nemesis Bracers, Credy's Flame. We're going to be using Gloves of Worship, and also you're going to be using Homing Pads, as well as Gold Skin. Honestly, the only ones that really matter is Flavor of Time, Nemesis Bracers, and Broken Crown. Everything else is just kind of nice to have. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to be doing a Greater Rift 75 and showing you the speed that this has. So only really that you want to do here is go Soul Harvest and then immediately go into your Hex Angry Chicken. From there, you are going to run around like a chicken with its head cut off, literally just running around looking for elite packs, and most things will explode. Just as a bit of a tip for you, Angry Chicken is a very good build, ironically now, for speed farming, because you could do Greater Rift 75 and 70s if you have your armor pretty much all tricked out at sub 2 minutes and 40 to 50 second run times, and that's not even with full augmentations on your armor. The only drawback to this particular build is the fact that if you run into an enemy that throws up a stone wall, it will stop you dead in tracks, which can cause you to have an unnecessary death. The other thing that you have to keep note with Angry Chicken also is if you're playing a map such as this one, where there's a lot of twists and turns, you're not going to be able to clear through it as fast unless you have the map completely memorized. Now, as for your armor pieces, what would you want to be doing? As always with all my Diablo 3 builds, you want to make sure that you have all your pieces of gear at least Ancient Legendary, which is with the gold border, or at least Primal Ancient Legendary, which is with the red border. Primal Ancient Legendaries are harder to get to drop with the red border, but they give you perfect stats on all pieces of your gear that have that, so that's something you should definitely look for. With Season 28, they actually gave the ability that when you actually salvage a Primal Ancient Legendary piece that you don't want, you get Smoldering Ashes, which you can be used to apply to actually upgrading a piece of your Ancient Legendary gear, or any piece of your gear for that matter, into a Primal Ancient Legendary. So they've made it a little bit easier in regards to actually hunting for Primal Ancient Legendaries, which is great. Subsequently from there, what else would you want to be doing with this armor? Well, my recommendation on your helm, get crit hit chance 6%. On your gloves, I recommend these three stats: crit hit chance 6%, crit hit damage 50%, at least an attack speed of 6.0, the higher the better. Are things that I would recommend for this build, because Angry Chicken does cause explosions. Anywhere that you can get on your armor to have a area of effect up percentage, definitely do so. Anywhere on your armor, which is the Spirit of Arachyr, where you can get a Angry Chicken buff of 15%, definitely make sure to do that. Obviously, the Witch Doctor class in particular relies on intelligence, so anywhere where you can get a buff to your intelligence, make sure to do that. Anywhere where you can get a buff to your armor. Vitality is not as important in this game because it's really about doing speed damage, but you pretty much want to focus on that. As you can see with the Rift Guardian, what you want to do for your legendary ends: Bane of the Trap, Bane of the Stricken, and the last one could be Goak's Swiftness, or whatever else you think would work. I think pretty much any gem that will really power up your pets is something that you don't mind looking at, because if you can get your pets to be a little bit stronger, why not? So we didn't really get any amazing loot in particular for this run, but as you saw there, it's incredibly fast and powerful build. I would dare say that this might now be the S tier build to be using for Season 29 for the Witch Doctor, because it actually speeds a lot quicker through content as opposed to the Zundanugu's Poison Dart build, as well as Mundanugu, which for quite a long time has been considered the S tier build for the Witch Doctor. Now, in regards to seasonal, I'm kind of a little bit iffy with the solo self-found mode, because solo self-found mode, as people have proven over this past weekend, you can get to the Paragon 800 cap pretty quickly, and then you don't have really anything else to do, which is kind of unfortunate. I kind of saw that happening even before the season went live, because I just think that although they're trying to replicate kind of like a Diablo 2 experience in Diablo 3 for this season, 800 Paragon is way too low to kind of hit for. Maybe you want something closer to 2,000 Paragon as a cap. But I understand with their stats that they buffed now to 200 out of 200. They wanted people to kind of think and kind of play around with builds and not just get constantly powerful, which is bad because it defeats the purpose of Diablo 3. Anyway, moving forward, let's see the clear time. Greater Rift 75, 2 minute and 51 second clear time. Arguably one of the fastest clear times that we've gotten with a Witch Doctor build. So I would say it's safe to say that the Arachnid Angry Chicken build is S tier. If you follow the build the way I have it laid out for you, fully augment your armor, get ancient legendary pieces, primal ancient legendary pieces as well, you should be able to do exactly what you saw here with relative ease. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. As always, a like on this video is greatly appreciated. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing so, as it helps the channel grow. And I will see you for the next one. Till next time, guys.